It is Wednesday afternoon, May 10th, 2017. Finally, I brought back herd alerts yesterday, and I think it's time to make a video to bring all the sheep on the same page to explain why I thought it was necessary to take some time off sending out these herd alerts, because I felt like the process was broken and I needed to figure out what was really wrong, what was going on, and I think I do have the answer to that. Also, I want to talk about macroeconomics and the flawed concepts that have become standard on Wall Street and in mainstream media that prevent us from embracing this bull market. Obviously, I want to talk about our current trade, and that is what I will begin with. We are currently long Tesla, and I couldn't be happier with the position. We saw the tankage here on earnings. Yesterday another leg higher, and today we added another 1.25% and closed on the highs. That is picture perfect, a price action for a vehicle that wants to go higher, and this short squeeze is only the beginning of a repricing, I think. Tesla has been going sideways for 3 years or so. Not much happened to price. Market cap increased because of the capital raises and stuff, but price didn't move much. We just broke out of this, and I think by year end Tesla will be significantly higher, because Tesla is not about current production, it is about the potential, what Elon can do in his lifetime. And that gets me to my assessment of who Elon is, and I just want to be straight up there. I'm a sucker for Elon. I have been for a long time. Sometime in 2011, I flip-flopped from being a Tesla bear to become the biggest proponent of Tesla, because at first I didn't understand, why would somebody buy an electric car that is as ugly as that Roadster? I didn't get it. And as expensive. What was it back then, 130K or something? But then I saw the Model S, and I realized, oh, this is a whole different ball game. And the more I learned about Elon, the more research I did, I just became a fan, and I realized this guy is not an ordinary guy. I think he's the smartest guy of our generation, the smartest inventor, entrepreneur there is. I don't even think that Bezos can compete. He's also, I mean, he's a great entrepreneur. What he's done with Amazon is awesome. But I think the intellect that is required to do what Elon does is a whole different ball game compared to what Bezos does. Bezos is great as an entrepreneur because he tries different concepts, has a thesis, and then throws money at it, tests it, and if it sticks, he builds upon it. Right? Elon is different, right? He picks the hardest topics out there, looks at how it's currently done, and says, you know what, I can do this better. I mean, look at this dude. He's 44, 45 years old, and he has built PayPal, billion-dollar business, right? Payments. He has built Tesla, billion-dollar business, right? Automobile. He's built SpaceX. Rocket science, right? Competing with countries, not with other companies. He's competing with countries and kicking their butt, right? And then he says, "Hey, cousin, I have a lot on my plate already, but I think solar is important to make energy to decarbonize our energy generation. And can you please start a solar company? I will fund you and I will give you guidance, but please go ahead and do that." Well, after a few years, he realizes, okay, my cousin is not Elon, so I probably take it back under my own wings and make it as kick-ass as it can be. So he acquires it, and on the side, he says, oh man, I have this idea for this slingshot hyperloop kind of thing, but you know what, I'm kind of busy. Let me write a paper real quick, 90 pages. I post it there to the public and ask the public, can you please do this, because it is a smarter way, a quicker way to get around the planet. Hopefully you can get it done. But he also says, hey, if nobody gets it done, he will take care of it. Then on top of it, he says, oh man, I'm stuck in traffic and I hate it. How do we do tunnels? You know what? There must be a better way. Let me revolutionize that industry as well. So he's now into tunnels. And then he also, in an interview, he was asked, hey, Elon, what would be the next business that you would do? What of the ideas you have you would actually help come to fruition? And he said, oh, back then when the Concorde went down and it was discontinued, I was kind of like bummed out because, man, I can't fly supersonic anymore. So he thought of a concept to make a supersonic electric plane, right? It's not that he's working on it right now, but who develops in the back of the mind a concept of an electric supersonic plane? So what I'm trying to say here is Elon is an intellectual giant, and the market is slowly understanding this, and because he has now so many believers, he will be able to fund whatever he wants to fund. In other words, Tesla does not trade on earnings. It doesn't trade on deliveries. It doesn't trade on callbacks. It trades on the potential of the Elon. So whenever there is a dip based on these short-term metrics, it's a buying opportunity, very reminiscent of how Amazon has behaved over the years. So I look at Tesla right now as a better alternative to being in cash. So whenever I don't see an urgent opportunity to be in a leverage ETF, I want to be long Tesla while that repricing is happening. And that's a good segue for the next topic I wanted to talk about, and that is how we look at macroeconomics and how GDP is being reported. Because it's incredibly difficult to be long a stock like Tesla if we believe in the headlines that are thrown at us all over the place. And I think the biggest flaw in economics out there is how we report GDP. When we look at earnings, right, we compare how did this quarter do compared to the same quarter the previous year. For some reason, it has become standard that we do sequential comparison of GDP. So we do compare how Q1 2017 did relative to Q4 of 2016. And that is how we get to 0.7% GDP growth in Q1. Please forget that number. The actual number is 2%. The economy grew by 2% Q1 17 versus Q1 16. And more importantly, that number is likely going to accelerate going forward. Q2, the economy will likely grow by more than 2% year over year, and in Q3 will probably grow even faster than in Q2. So the economy is accelerating, and while it is, the market is very unlikely to sell off. So please keep that in mind. It will make it a lot easier to be long these incredible names like Tesla right now. And Tesla is unique in that sense that there is still so many people betting against it. The high short interest creates fuel for additional demand going forward. So I think this repricement will likely be very violent, and it will not let people in who are not prepared for that move to occur. So I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, and now let's go to what I have learned over the last few weeks, where I traded kind of like in the background, and because I had a lot of time to figure out what went wrong in March after having great numbers for January and February. What happened in March when I even had the right thesis that I thought gold miners were to be shorted, and I managed not to participate. I mean, that was just incredible. Let's get that shot up here. And looking back, it's a little bit painful, but it's also encouraging at the same time, because the thesis was correct. The trade was to be short junior gold miners. So my fundamental assessment of the situation was correct. My timing, my execution was terrible. And what I realized is I'm a global macro guy. I'm a behavioral finance guy. And in order for me to see that big picture, I need to have a certain distance from the market. I need to be relaxed. I need to be cool and watch the whole universe. And then I can execute on my trades and time them right. So trading for a few weeks in the background enabled me to get my cool back, to get my groove back, to look at the big picture and not get caught up in micro movements. So I'm excited for the second half of the year. I mean, we have 7.5 months left, right? So we can still do a lot of damage in 2017, and I'm excited to go for it, ready to kick butt. And if you have any questions about our particular trade here in Tesla, about the macroeconomic stuff that I talked about, or about market psychology in general, hit me up on StockTwits. My handle is @OptionBob.